You're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. You're as sweet as strawberry wine. Hey guys, one of my favorite artists is a guy named Chris Stapleton and his song Tennessee Whiskey, which was actually originally written by David Allen Coe, but it's one of the best songs that I've heard in the last few years by, honestly, one of the best artists I've heard in a long time. So today, we're gonna take Chris Stapleton's Tennessee Whiskey and apply it to the uke, but we're gonna mix it up. So you probably noticed that my uke sounds a little different than normal, and that is because I'm tuned down a half step. So all that means, and you'll see this in the graphic below, is instead of tuning G, C, E, A from top to bottom, I'm tuned down a half step. So what that means is now I'm playing F sharp, B as in boy, D sharp, and G sharp. So if you want to play along in this tutorial and the subsequent play along, you'll need to bring your uke down a half step. This is something I'm trying for this, and the reason I'm doing it is for singing purposes. Now, I'll get into a lot of the upsides and downsides, but that's a whole other video, which I will leave a link in the description for that. So we talk a little bit about why you might want to tune down a half step, but for today, if you have a second uke that you want to experiment with this, kind of hear some of the upsides and the warmth that you get from tuning down a half step, and also how it'll help you to sing some songs that maybe fall a little higher in the register, such as Tennessee Whiskey. So again, get tuned up to F sharp, B, D sharp, and G sharp to play along with me today. So the best news I have for you today is this song only requires 2 chords. So the 2 chords that we'll use, I'll give you the easiest one first, and that is A minor. So I'm going to call this the A minor shape because when I play this A minor chord, and this will be noted below, I'm just using my middle finger, 2nd fret on the G string here, as I normally would. However, I'm tuned down a half step. So now this chord is actually called G sharp minor because I went from A minor down a half step to G sharp minor. So that's my first chord. Second chord that you need is the G shape. So the G shape is played with middle finger on the 2nd fret on the A string, ring finger on the E string on the 3rd fret, and index finger on the C string on the 2nd fret. So it's your normal G shape. However, again, we're tuned down a half step. So this will actually be an F sharp major chord. So same shape, a little different sound, a little different feel. So those are the only 2 chords that you'll use for this song. Now, I will say something about songs that have 2 chords. After 3 or 4 minutes of trying to play 2 chords over and over again, yes, it's a good repetition exercise, but it's also an opportunity for you. So I'm going to give you a couple other examples of G and A minor shapes that you could use when we play along today to kind of expand your chord usage up the neck a little bit more. Try some different tones, and a good chance for you to kind of move out of your first position chords over and over again. So an example would be the A minor chord. So our normal A minor shape I just showed you is down here, but a cooler shape that I think you could try today would be playing this up here with my ring finger on the 5th fret on the G string, my middle finger on the C string 4th fret, my pinky tucked underneath here on the E string on the 5th fret, and then my index finger is down here on the A string on the 3rd fret. So that sounds like this. So hear the difference between this shape and the standard shape. So a little warmer, and this gives us a little higher, crispier tone. So as you're playing through the song, you might want to experiment and try this. Another version of this, kind of extending this chord, would be to switch our fingers. So I'll take my middle finger and put it here on the G string on the 5th fret, my index on the C string 4th fret, my ring on the E string on the 5th fret. And I'm going to extend this chord out now. I'm going to play the 7th fret with my pinky. So that gives me even a little higher timbre to this chord. So let's say I was playing my A minor chord up high, and I want to kind of extend it and add a little color to it on the 2nd or 3rd time through the strumming pattern. So that's an option for your A minor. I'll also have a PDF that has all of these chord shapes listed for you so that you can check those out as well and kind of push your chord knowledge a little bit. So with the G shape here, another option that I'll give you guys is to play it up here on the 7th fret. So I'm taking my middle finger, putting that on the 7th fret C string, my ring finger on the 7th fret on the E string, and my index on the A string on the 5th fret. So here's another version of the G shape you can use. So if you were going back and forth in the song, you could play G here and then move to your A minor here. If you want to go a little bit higher than that, you could actually bar the full 7th fret here and play your pinky out on the 10th fret to get that other extension of the chord as well. So now if you look at all the real estate you've covered here on the instrument, you're basically using anywhere from the 1st to the 10th fret with 2 different chords. So again, I see this as an opportunity for you guys to try some different chord shapes. Because you're only using 2 chords, you can kind of mix and match as you go through the play along and kind of just experiment and explore, try some of these new shapes, kind of add to your chord palette. So those are the 2 chords that you need for the tune. So let's talk about the strumming pattern now. So I'm going to give you an easy version and a more advanced version. So we'll start with the easy version here. So this song is in the time signature 6/8. So there's going to be a waltz feel to this. So I'm just going to use my G chord here as the chord for the playing example here. But the strumming pattern is down, and that is accented. So that'll be an uppercase D if you're looking at the strumming pattern on the PDF. Down, and then up, down, up, down. So here's how that would sound. Down, up, down, up, down. So go ahead and try that with me. Just hold your G shape here on the 2nd and 3rd fret. And I'm going to count in 1, 2, 3. And just try the strumming pattern with me. I'm just going to go nice and slow through it. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Down, up, down, up, down. Down, up, down, up, down. Down, up, down, up, down. So that's kind of the most basic version of the strum. Now, if you want to make it sound a little bit more like the actual song recording, you can try this kind of a little more advanced version of that same strumming pattern. So the only variation that we have here, the pattern will be the same, except a little addition at the end. So it's down, and that's accented. And when I say accented, what I want you to do is put a little bit more weight in your hand as you hit that first strumming pattern. So now, what I just did there at the end of that strumming pattern is the last down strum I turned into a staccato down strum. So legato would be a note that rings out for longer. Staccato is a note of shortened duration, which would sound like this. So hear how that kind of seals off at the end when I play it. So how do I do that? I let the chord ring very, very, very short, and then I release the pressure from my left hand. So what that does is it stops the vibration of the strings. Well, I also have this G string, which is tuned to F sharp, on top that I need to stop that from ringing. So what I do is I take my thumb and I rest it on top of the neck, and if I don't get it, I still get that note, but if I kind of grab over the top a little bit, I can deaden that top note when I play. So I'm going to go down, up, down, up, down, and then I release pressure. So down, up, down, up, down. And that just kind of seals off all of the sound there. And now, as a rhythmic thing at the end of that, now that I have this chord muted, like this, I'm not getting any sound out of it, I'm going to do 3 muted strums at the end of this pattern going up, down, up. So let's just put that together really quick so I can show you. So it's down, up, down, staccato, and then up, down, up. So let's check out the entire pattern here nice and slow. So I'll talk through it as we go. So 1, 2, 3. Down, up, down. Mute, mute, mute. Down, up, down. Mute, mute, mute. Down, up, down. Mute, mute, mute. So that's the more advanced version, and I like that version, and I'll probably use that one in the play-along. You could use either version in the play-along today. The more advanced version feels better for me because it keeps my hand going in rhythm, and I'm still subdividing as I go. So as a singer, performer, I kind of like to keep my strumming hand going the entire time just to keep the rhythm moving so I don't feel like there's any hesitation or anticipation of my next chord. I know that my hand is continuously moving. So experiment with both of those strumming patterns, see which one's more comfortable for you. But with a song like this that only has 2 chords and 1 strumming pattern, again, I see it as an opportunity to try some of the chord embellishments, maybe try the more advanced strumming pattern because you only have to worry about changing chords back and forth 2 times. So now let's talk about the song form and how we're going to play the verse and the chorus. All right, so let's get into the intro for the song, and I know how much you guys loved learning the riffs in Heart of Gold, so I thought it'd be cool to show you the riff that opens up the song here. So it's pretty simple, but it adds a lot of cool flavor to your playing. So what the riff sounds like, it's pretty simple, 3-note little riff, and you hear it if you listen to the audio recording. It's just, I'm going to start with my middle finger here on the C string on the 2nd fret. And then I'm going to pluck that. My next note is the 4th fret on the C string. I pluck that one. And I'm just using my thumb here to pluck these single notes. So I keep my hand underneath the body of the uke, and I'm just using my thumb using a downstroke to pluck those. So I have 2, 4, and then the 3rd note is just going to be here on the 3rd fret on the E string. To finish that out, I play a G chord, which will be strummed. The reason I'm going to show you this a little differently here is to put my hand in position to play my first chord. So I'm going to use my middle finger to play the 2nd fret, my pinky to play the 4th fret, and then my ring finger to play here down on the E string. And the reason for that is because that ring finger is the position that it's going to be in for the G chord. So you always, when you're leading into a chord with a riff, you want to try to get your fingers in position to play that chord. If I were to use my index, ring, and middle for the riff, my hand is out of position for the G now. I have to move that whole thing to play the chord. So when things get faster, you want to kind of cut out all of the extra movement and put yourself in a good position to play. So the intro riff here then would be 2, 4, 3, and then G through the strumming pattern. Down, up, down, up, down. Down, up, down, up, down. So if you want to take a swing at that a few times, pause the video and try the little riff. If you need an explanation of how to read tabs, which we have here in the video, I will leave a link in the description to a full video about reading tabs, which will help you with all of these riffs. Now, the full intro starts with the riff, and then we go to the G chord, and then this is the secret sauce to the entire song. The chord progression is the same the entire time. So every time here, starting with the intro, you're going to strum G through the pattern twice, and then A minor 4 times, and then we go back and strum G 2 times. So, pretty easy form for the entire song, and that's just going to repeat every time, 2, 4, 2. So, when you're playing the G chord, you'll notice that you actually play it 4 times because every time you start with 2 and end with 2, which equals, I think it equals 4. So, let's just try that intro together, nice and slow. I'm going to start with the riff, and then I'll go through that chord progression nice and slow. So here we go with a 3 count in. 1, 2, 3. 2, A minor. And 3, 4, back to G. So if you can do that chord progression throughout the entire song, you're in good shape because that covers everything. The solo, the verse, the chorus. It just goes to show you that you don't need to have 15 different chords to have a great song, because I believe this is one of the best songs that's come out in the last couple years. 2 chords is all it took. So now let's check out the verse section. Well, as I mentioned, the verse and the chorus are going to carry the same chords, the same number of times through the strumming pattern throughout the whole song. So I thought it'd be cool here just to play the verse section with a couple of the chord inversions that I talked about earlier in the video. So let's just try this one here with our G chord being played with middle, ring, and index on the 7th and the 5th fret. And for our A minor chord, we're going to slide over here to the 5th fret with ring on the 5th, middle on the 4th, pinky on the 5th, and index on the 3rd. So as I make that transition, I'm always looking for little shortcuts to move between chords. Well, I found the common denominator is my index finger stays here on the A string the entire time. So it starts here on the 5th fret, and as I transition to the A minor, I'm just going to slide my index down to the 3rd fret, and I'm starting to form the shape as I'm moving down here. So watch that slowly. I'm here on the 5th and 7th, with my middle and ring rather, and then as I pick those up, you don't see my fingers flying off like this. You see my fingers still cupped here over the fretboard. So as I make that move, fingers are staying nice and close. I'm sliding with my index, and then I'm just making that shape in the air before I drop it down onto the A minor shape. So let's try that same strumming pattern and progression we did for the intro with these chord inversions here, so you can have a couple repetitions of playing some new cool chord inversions. So here we go, starting on the G chord. 1, 2, 3. 2, A minor. 2, 1, 2, slide back to G. Let's do that again. Here comes the cat. 1, 2, 1, 2, A minor. 1, 2, 3, 4, back to the G. So those are a couple of chord inversions you can try if you're feeling a little bit bored playing the same 2 chords the whole time. I think that'll spice things up a little bit for you. So now let's take a look at a consolidated version here of the tune going through the intro, verse, and chorus. Alright, so for the consolidated play along, we're going to start with the riff, go through the intro, the verse, and the chorus. I will sing it through, so you guys have a chance. You can either play the first position chords or play the chord inversions. You could use the advanced strumming pattern or the simplified one. I'll do a combination of both so you can see and hear what that sounds like and feels like and decide for yourself what you want to do. So we'll start here with the intro, nice and slow. and I'll play it through here. This song is actually only at 50 BPMs in 6/8, so if you want to try this with the metronome at home, I suggest you do that to really get a feel for what this 6/8 time signature is like. And we'll do that in the dedicated play along, which will be coming out a couple days from now, and you can check that out. That link will also be in the description. So here we go, nice and slow. 1, 2, 3. To the A minor. Getting that nice staccato, back to G. Now into the verse. Used to spend my nights out in barrooms, liquor was the only love I'd ever known. But you rescued me from reaching for the bottom and brought me back from being too far gone. You're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. You're as sweet as strawberry wine. You're as warm as a glass of brandy, and honey, I stay stoned on your love all the time. So that was a consolidated version of the full tune, with the lyrics and a couple different chord variations there for you guys to try. Again, I would suggest experimenting a little bit with this tune. If you have another version of A minor or G that I didn't show you today and you want to tell me about in the comments below, I'd love to hear from you. Maybe leave the numerical down there and share it with the uke community about a couple different variations of G and A minor that you might know. Again, my name is Kevin. Thank you so much for checking out the tutorial today. There will be a dedicated play along coming up. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Click that little alert bell. We're releasing up to 3 videos every week right now. So there's tons of new content for you guys to explore, learn different types of strumming patterns, chord progressions, all kinds of good stuff for you. Don't forget to go over to allforuke.com as well. I have a PDF song sheet for this tune. You can download, print it out, add it to your collection of All for Uke songs that you're already learning. And I will see you next time. Thank you so much. Take it easy, guys. This sunny day.